Well, good evening, Steelers, and welcome to Paint and Chat. First one in a while, I think it is. Hopefully, you can hear me. I'm assuming so. The microphone is up and working. I've had to mess about a little bit with things, so hopefully it's all working. Let's see who's in. Nick says, Tuesday night's tabletop games. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. Oh, well, you'll have to watch it back later. John, evening from stormy South Florida. It's pretty stormy here as well in South Yorkshire. Evening, Steve, Lazy Pirate. Evening, Dave, and evening, Carl. Good to have a few of you on. Say hello in the chat if you're there. If you're out there, hit that like button as well. You know the drill at this point. Let me know what you're painting as well while I'm wittering on. So as I say, first one of these for a little while. Hoping to get back to a bit more regularity at some point in the future, I think. We say good day from freezing Oz, 1 degree weather at 4 AM, 88 days till you're back in God's own country. Excellent. Evening, Greg. Evening, Terry. Good to have you all here. Hello. As I say, hit that like button. Tonight, I've got a couple of things I want to do. I'm going to start probably blocking in the colours on these tabletop studio buildings that I've prepped them already. So I've got a little boulangerie here. I put a garden on the back of it, and I've also got this thing here, which is a cordonner. It says cordonner. Rainy day in Saddleworth as well. Evening, Adrian. And I've just undercoated these in burnt umber. So I just need to do some block colours on these. These will probably take me over the next week or so to do, but I just wanted to try to get some of these things out of the way, actually, because I've had them for a while and Adam very kindly sent them to me. The other thing that showed up today is a platoon and a bit of First World War Frenchies, 15mm Peter Pig Frenchies. So I want to get some of these based, actually, as well. That's the other thing. So I don't know what to start with. I'm going to start with the French, actually, because I only got a few bases left over. I had to order some more bases in from war bases as well. So Kev, hello, evening to you. Not painting tonight, but you're building a Turnip 28 regiment. Okay, well, as long as you've got tufts, I think you'll be alright. Painting some Roman Gauls and Germanic Roman allies cavalry. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these French, I think. Let's get these done, or at least some of them done anyway. Just get them cleaned up and get them ready. So I've dug out the Play the Game book, which has got the platoons in for the First World War, in the Cocking Up the Mud and the Blood. So I'm using this, and I've just gone with this as a full-strength platoon. So I'll go through it, what they've got. So the platoon headquarters is lieutenant, senior leader with a pistol. They've got two demi-sections. So it's similar to the later Second World War ones. These are led by a sergeant who's a junior leader with a rifle. They're going to be based on pennies, so I can tell the difference. Then they have a caporal, a junior leader with a rifle. He leads the Grenadier Voltiger squad, which is 3 bombers and 5 riflemen, so 9 men in total. Then we've got a support squad, which is made up of a sure shot team, which is 1 sure shot LMG with two crew and also 2 riflemen as well, and a VB team, which is the French rifle grenades. So they've got 4 VB launchers, each with two crew each. And there's 2 of those squads, so they're quite big with quite a lot of firepower in them. So this is obviously 1917 onwards French unit. So that's going to be interesting, because I want to do some Through the Mud and the Blood and also Cocking Up the Mud and the Blood with French as well, because I've got the British and I've got Germans. I thought let's go with the French as well as on top of that. Now I'm doing these normal French. I'm not doing the colonial French, although I could do another platoon in colonial colours, which are basically khaki rather than the horizon blue. But I want to do these ones in horizon blue just to make them slightly different. Carl says, tonight I'm painting some 50mm classical Indians, ancients, that are the first army I ever painted, not counting Airfix, back in 85. Blimey, it's going back some. Tufts aplenty, good. Making us 28mm road tonight and a canal. Evening all and Alex. Evening Dex, good to have you on board. Dex, just checking, Thursday night we are still on for Kursk part 2, yes. I haven't read the scenario yet, but I will do. And again, I'll bring all the scenery if you bring your forces and we can go from there. I guess that's if it's a yes from you anyway. I'll wait to see what you say. But yeah, I just so basically I just wanted to get a French platoon together, just for Through the Mud and Blood, just to add a bit of difference. And I also did actually make some French cards as well recently. I made a load of Through the Mud and Blood cards on Princess Studio. Annoyingly, the French cards, they wouldn't allow me to sell them. They allow me to sell the British cards and the German cards, so you can get those. I did put a link to them somewhere, but the French ones, it said it was copyrighted material, despite the fact that it being exactly the same material that was used on the other two cards. So I can't release them to the public, annoyingly. Slow, folks, slow up. Tonight we'll be masking the back third of the base for a big man I've based up from Mud and Blood. That part can stay white, so I can write the big man level and initials on the fella. Good stuff. You know, write it underneath, John. Did you see the label bases that the base labels that I put out in the Mud and the Blood group? Stuck them in there. Found that Army War Painter Wolf Grey works as French Horizon Blue and Vallejo French Mirage for the helmets. Okay, that's a good tip. I was probably going to have a look through, see what I had that looks good as a Horizon Blue myself. Putting extra padding down the back of your trousers. So yes. Prepping for the first battle test of your modular 6mm Woodlands, hoping they survive having Federal and Rebel brigades manoeuvre, shoot and fight under the canopy. Good, I hope they do. It was nice to meet you, Icy Dave, over at Joya 6, albeit briefly. I was up to my elbows in showing people how to play a game, so I hope you enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. But yeah, I realised today that I just didn't have enough bases for the full platoon. Places labels will go on the underside. Okay. So you're doing the top bit just so you know what level they are. It's a good idea. Like I say, I've done the French ones as well. I've copied Sid's French names for the cards that I've made. So I've got all the cards for them, and I've got all the names for them, so I'm going to give all these individual names as well. Evening, Jonas. Sorry you're late. Your name will go on the list. I'm making 8 inch by 1 inch strips, 28mm barbed wire tonight. Excellent. It's always interesting to see Europeans or non-English, non-British folk, or non-British and non-US folk using inches. It must be a bit of an oddity to know what they actually are, the size of them. In Sweden, anyway. It's all millimetres out there, isn't it? Sensible, you see. But yeah, I don't think these are going to take too long to paint. I'm going to do my usual standard of base colour, wash of Agrax, and then a few highlights here and there. Alright, so let's just see how many I've actually got here. I can count out my bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. 5, there's 10. And there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 15. There's actually 20 men there. So hopefully I've got 20 bases. 24 people watching, 8 likes. Hit that like button, folks. Get those algorithms popping if you're enjoying it. And also, say something in chat. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're painting if you're out there in chatland. So I missed last night's podcast from the Plastic Crack chaps because I was recording a podcast with the hobby support group guys, Tom and Andy, all night. So look, painting more epic ACW, excellent, from John. Dave says, definitely enjoyed Joey 6 meeting you, even managed to get in some dogfighting on the nines, good stuff. Yeah, we were recording their 100th episode. It should be out, I think they said Sunday, I think, so look out for that. It was good fun. It was a question and answer session with me asking the questions. We went on for about 2 hours. It was good fun though. They're good lads of the hobby support group. Go and check them out. Join their group as well and check out their podcast. It's all good stuff. It's always a good milestone to reach something like 100. And they said they've got a hell of a lot of downloads as well, which is good. Shows that people are interested. We're all here to support one another, aren't we? That's what it's all about. Right, so I'm just going to get these on here first of all. I'm going to need to put some plaster on the bases anyway. What I'm going to do, I should have done actually, is mark up these bases with the section numbers so I knew which is which when I come to do the other ones, but never mind, we can do that. So actually I just worked it out actually, yeah, the French platoon is 40 odd men. There's 20 in this one, 20 in the other, and then three leaders. Or is it 3 leaders? 4 leaders. So 44 men. 20.32 times 2.54 centimetres. There you go. Can't get much more exact than that, can you? Is that for bolt action, Jonas? I saw somebody had posted a how to make barbed wire video recently. It looked quite effective, and it was only made from an orange bag, bag for fruit. You mean you weren't being grilled like on the Geo6 panel? No. No, it was me grilling them. Imperial measurements are the best. Feet and inches rule never got me centimeters. Yes, that's because you're old, Terry. In archaeology, everything is measured in meters and centimeters. So I'm used to it. It's quite strange. But feet and inches work quite well for wargaming, I've got to say. Because you are used to it. Don't want to be paid, sir. Hello. Good to have you on board. Hang on. No, I got 5. 5 leaders. So 2 corporals, 1 sergeant, and then 1 lieutenant. Oh, how do you pronounce lieutenant in French? Lieutenant? Who knows? French, no. So yes, it was an interesting evening, and I should be recording the Brews in the Vineyard with Sean and Ken as well in a week or so. I think it's next week. We are signed up to record that, so that should be fun. The summer special, summer version. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm going to do, I don't think I'm going to be able to get any plaster onto these tonight, polyfiller should I say, because it takes a long time, and with 44 fingers, evening Dom, good to have you on board, and with 44 figures that's going to take a hell of a long time, so I'll probably not bother doing that tonight. That's going to be a big job. It'll take a bit. To tell you what, I've actually probably got enough bases to do the second brigade, that second unit as well. Who else was coming up? You're on 2 M20 scout cars for an American platoon. Excellent. Go back to pound, shilling and pence. No way. No way. Yes. Hi Dom again. Peter Little, good evening Alex. First time live chat visit. Good stuff. Good to have you on board, Peter. Hope you're enjoying it. So there's 25 of you watching, only 13 likes. Hit the like button, folks. Don't cost you a dime. Oh, look at that. I've got exactly enough for the second lot. So I'm actually going to mark these up. I'm going to mark them with a 2 so I know which they are. What I will do though is when I come to painting them, I'll paint the undersides of the bases in the different colours so I can easily work out which is which. But just for now, I'll mark these up with a 2 so I don't get them mixed up. I'll find the pen first. There it is. So, as I say, once these are ready to go, I don't think they're going to take very long. A couple of hours painting session that we've done. So, I'll mark these up with a 2. So, demi section 2. the thing about doing the French for Mud and Blood means it's going to force me to read a bit about the French actions of the First World War. Just something I know very, very little about. And there's not a huge number of books in English, which is probably part of the problem. Elizabeth Greenhow done a lot of work on them, and I think Will Philpott as well has done quite a lot of work in English anyway. I've got some of their books. Bolt action, use an aluminium sealing wire, thin wire with even thinner wire wrapped around it. Oh, okay, I think I've got some stuff like that. I've used it for 15mm barbed wire. It works well. It looks good from a distance when it's rusty. That's all you need to do, isn't it? 3 foot rule, like everything in my life. What we're saying, don't forget the 1 inch to a mile maps, otherwise known as very convenient 1 to 3 6 3s. Yes, very convenient. Usually follow Dom and his merry band. A 6mm solo gamer with a main interest in the Great Northern War. Okay, well, I'm fairly sure you must have seen Per Broden's blog, Roller One. He's a big Great Northern War man, and in 6mm as well. He was over at Bacchus with it, and at Salute as well. And as he has been for the last few years. I think these French are the new Peter Pig sculpts. They're very they're very much skinnier than the old Peter Pig ones, which is nice. There's a bit more flavour to them, I think. It looks like they resculpted most of their Rangers. You have the 0.9144 metre rule. Yes, of course. How can I forget? But they're also really incredibly clean moulds as well. They're lovely, sharp figures. Really nice. I was thinking about maybe having a look, see what Battlefront do as well for their French for the First World War, and maybe get a platoon of theirs as well to mix in. But I'm quite happy. Evening, Jim. I'm very happy with the Peter Pig ones at the moment. There's enough poses in these to make them look different enough, which is what you want, isn't it, for a skirmish game? Using acoustic guitar B strings for me in 10mm. You mean you don't want florins thropping bits and half crowns to make a comeback? God, no. Good God. Evening, Andrew. Fancy another game at some point? Are you going to Ebor? Yes and yes, Andrew. I paid John my pounds, my quid. So yes, I'm going to Ebor Lard, and yes, I do fancy a game at some point, Andrew. How about we aim for September, if you're interested. Drop me a message. I think you've got my email, so just drop me a message, and we can go for a weekend in September. How's about that? I don't think I've got anything tied up, unless there's a games day or something on. Let's have a chat, and I can work out some dates with you. But yes, definitely up for a game. Anything in particular you want to play? O Group, Chain of Command. I just realised half of these bloody bayonets have got a flash on them. Let's see if I can clean those bits up first of all. So I don't want to get halfway through painting them and then have to get the flash off. That sounds good to you? Okay, I'll drop you a message either on Twitter or via email when I get a chance. Happy to recommend Grymork's blog as well as Pears. Okay, there you go. For those that are interested in the Great Northern War, get that blog looked at. It always looks very nice. And Andy Oval of the Hobby Support Group, he'd just done some Swedes for the Great Northern War from the pikemen and stuff, the epic, the Warlord epic. Posted some pictures in their group. Ain't Big Shot Mum or Bag the Hun? Either or. Happy with either or, me. You choose. I'd be very happy to do some either of them because they're both great games. Want to be painted. The Osprey book, French versus German at Verdun, covers some of the action. It's 16 from fighting in the woods, the basements, and the big forts around Verdun. Indeed, I'm sure it does. Evening, Leslie. Yeah, I like the Osprey books, but I think they're sometimes a little thin on detail. They're good primers though, so I was thinking more of something with a bit more meat to it, but I shall certainly check it out because they're cheap as well. That's the other good thing about Osprey books. But I did actually sell all my Osprey books relatively recently at the Steel Warriors show. Was it earlier this year or later last year? I can't remember. I just took them all down. Just one of the booksellers just picked them all up. Just bought the lot. Just got them. I went, and I had about it's about 500 of them, I think. So I just realised I wasn't using them anymore. There wasn't any point. All the information was online. If you really wanted to, you could find the PDFs of the colour prints. 6mm is just too small. No, it's not, Leslie, at all. It's only lines and dots. If you can paint lines and dots on a 28mm figure, you can paint 6mm figures. Absolutely no difference whatsoever. I've got painting guides on the channel which prove that completely wrong. Dead easy scale to paint. And anyway, you're going for the mass look. It's not about detail. It's about how they all look together. And when they do look together, they look great. Hit the like button, folks. 28 of you watching there, and only 17 likes. Sometimes the bases on these Peter Big figures are just a tiny bit too small, and they do want to fall over. But they're doing all right. We're doing all right. We're getting there. Like I say, I'm not going to add any polyfiller to these tonight. There's just too many of them. It's a bit one of those boring jobs where you just have to sit down and put a podcast on and go for it. You fancy going back to 6mm again soon? Either Cold War or some sci-fi for a change. Interesting. Cold War certainly seems to be picking up in popularity again, doesn't it, at the moment? I don't know if it's because of Cold War Commander being released recently, or 7 Days to the Rhine and stuff, or I don't know if it's just the people I follow on Twitter, or just old Cold War enthusiasts. Lieutenant is the same in French. Okay, thank you for that. That's good to know. Yeah, I'm not so interested in the Cold War. History stops for me in 1945. I love Dirt Side 2 for 6mm sci-fi. There you go. 6mm is really quick and easy to get results. Literally being able to put thousands of minis on the table is awesome. Absolutely. Agree with that. Right, that's them based up. So they will be worked on over the next week or so. So I'm going to crack on with these fella me lads and get these started now. That's the next thing. So like I say, I'm just going to put some base colours on these and just blocking some colours, and we'll see where we are by the end of it. Big if you would start 6mm, it would probably be Napoleonic's big battalions. Well, I've already got them. Decks, I've already got it for Blucher, so if you want to try it out, we can do that at some point. Cold War Commander is good rule set, spoiled by a terrible layout. I'll take your word for it, Andy. I've not read it. Let's have a look. What's so terrible about the layout? Greymosh solo Wargaming blog is all eras and visually beautiful. Okay, I will check it out. I've not heard of it before. Let's have a look. Right, so these are a couple of Normandy style houses. So I want to paint this one. I'm going to do this one in stone, I think, and then the other one I'm trying to think about what render to use on it. So I'm going to hold off for a second. And I kind of want that creamy white Normandy stone, so I'm using fawn for this. As I say, literally I'm just blocking in the colours here at this point. And then it's got a little shed next to it as well, which I will paint a different colour, but I'm not sure what yet. So that'll be painted, maybe red, just to add a bit of splash of colour. And then it'll also, it's got a tin roof as well on it, which is good. So I can do that nice and rustify it. And then also we got some brick walls on the outside as well. I'll keep those. I'll do those in stone as well. Keep with the theme. And then I can do the base in a stone grey. So it's not going to take very long to do, I don't think. It's not really. It's just basically getting the block colours in first of all, then coming back, neatening it up, do all the details, and then weather it. Bada bing, bada boom. Nice and easy. Where we at? Cottage in tonight, absolutely. Go Brigades. Any idea how many battalions fought at Leipzig? No idea. Quensai, evening. Evening to you. What are you painting? Some people have already told us, not everybody. Some people have said, what are you painting tonight? I am painting buildings. That's what I'm painting tonight. What I might do as well on this is I'll paint the windowsills and things as well, slightly different colours. Get these off here. Little bits and pieces from the printing process. These are FDM prints if anybody's interested. Which I think they're quite good for buildings. I do prefer resin overall, but these are okay. I got some of the Perry's early Saxons and early Prussians completed with 6mm collier back. Evening, James. Good to have you on board. I think with 6mm the trick, if you can do it to give an impression of more detail, you look closer even though there's none. Not when you see little flashes of colour on a dark base colour. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that, Simon. It's about an impression. You're not, because the detail's just going to get lost anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's why I use bright colours on a very dark background. So bigger figures I will generally undercoat in a lighter colour, but 6mm I do them in black, and then just paint the highlights, because then they just stand out nicely. And like you say, once you've got 100 of them all standing together, you don't see those individual cross belts that you painted badly. Recently got an FDM printer to print out some buildings for terrain. Need to give them a bit of sand, prime and paint. Good stuff. Got some 50mm British Paras I need working on, quite a few stands, plus 3-inch mortars and Vickers MMGs. What are they for? Dex says you've got some Russian 15mm stuff on the table, including a T-35. Excellent. I've got 5 T-35s. I love them. They're brilliant. Proper land ships, land battleships. Stupid tanks. Getting some 15mm doughboys prepped over here. Excellent. 6mm about is all good sculpts and putting washes, drawer details. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of 6mm, really enjoyed your Blucher videos. Yeah, I really should make some more Blucher videos. I was thinking about that recently. It's such a good game, and the figures are just sitting there collecting dust at the moment, so I should get them back on the table. You don't really want to refight Waterloo or Quatre Bras, but I could do a fictional battle But yes, it's a great game. So says you. James says just finished a Rubicon M4, great kit, and now down at the US in Italy rabbit hole. I'll start seeing an unpainted mini on the shelf. Good stuff. Use them for a mix of things. Flames of War, Crossfire, Rogue Group, anything that 15mm works. So really, good stuff. Good stuff. That's what I always try to do. Have a mix of uses for them. My 15mm. I've never played Crossfire. Well, I played my mate's Modern's version of Crossfire, which is a very, 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 very bastardized version of it. It just took some of the elements, like the being able to move until you do something wrong, or should I say, retaining the initiative until you do something wrong, or you get spotted, or you get fired at, or something. Which is a really clever way of doing things. Introducing a good bit of friction into the game. Nothing wrong with that. Simon says, that said, I'm back on 28mm playing medieval cavalry tonight. Well, if you're not a wargaming butterfly, then Simon, then what are you? That's the thing, isn't it? So I've still got another box of all the really big Karen 10 buildings that Adam sent over that I've hardly touched. Only painted a couple of them, and the big old Momo farm complex as well. But this is the second load of stuff that he sent, which is much smaller and a bit more generic as well. So that's why I kind of want to get them painted up, just to make them to give some of my buildings a bit of difference. I mean, you know, they're meant to be for Normandy, but arguably they'll work for quite a lot of northern France, to be honest. So these may stretch all the way back to the First World War as well, especially having some Frenchies fighting around them. Let's have a look where we are. I just can't get my head around 6mm paint and approach. I know it's simplified, but every time I try do too much, looks like rubbish. Don't do detail, Dom. That's it. Simple. Napoleon's early campaigns in North England, yeah, they are. That's true. It's very good fun. It's heavily weighted by who has the better terrain organisation. It was badly hampered by tightly clustered terrain because it made manoeuvring hard. What are you talking about there, Quincy? Which game? So 28mm Napoleonic Belgian infantry, excellent. And good. Right, and this one, I think I'm just going to do the actual thing here. I'm wondering what to do about the interiors, because they've got full interiors, but it's going to be almost impossible to paint them. In the last one I did, which I put pictures up earlier on, I was able to paint it, but this building, this boulangerie in particular, is 3 stories high, so it's going to be very difficult to paint the interior and make it look any good. But I can give it a go, give it an impression at least of having been painted. Once it gets weathered, it doesn't really matter. Or I could just paint the entire interior the same colour, and then it wouldn't matter one little jot. But I figure because it's got different floors, it's worthwhile doing the different floors, different colours. I can only hit the like button once. With enough 15mm mass troops, and no one here at the moment plays much small size figures. I don't thought your 6mm were good. Don't undersell your 6mm skills. Any more Soviet snipers on the way? Dex? I hope not. What do you think about the alt history grimmed out First World War games that seem popular at the moment? I'll come back to that. That's Crossfire. Deployment, if you're going like a match play, you can deploy in terrain. Oh yes, of course. Sorry. If you end up with lots of terrain, you can't make much ground. Yeah. Let us know if you need another Yorkshire to take over the PCP with Yorkshire Day approaching. Hello Alex, do you have a DAC or 8th Army platoons? If not, future? No, I don't. The only 8th Army I have are ones that serve in Malaya. And Dex said, wallpaper for the interiors, print off some nice gingham patterns. I've actually got some 15mm Second World War wallpaper that my mate designed several years ago for our Russian houses, so I have used it. You joke, but I've got it and I've used it. But that's difficult to put on the interior here. It's easier to paint it. What do I think about the grimdark World War One things that are coming out? Absolute nonsense. Some cows are sacred, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, let people play whatever they want to play. It was bound to happen. To me, history is far more interesting than adding trolls to something, to be perfectly honest, but each to their own. They need carpets as well. Not these ones, these have got stone floors. Working on the STKF 250 pack 38 and 6 pounder. You're only half joking as I print off some Turkish patterns for the floors of some arabesque buildings. And you can't afford the subtitles. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the things. Osprey are about to release one, aren't they? I can't remember what it's called. Something about Doggerland or something. But yes, it's I don't know. I've got zero interest in it. I say the history of the First World War is far more interesting, just as history. You spend your entire life reading about it. I don't really see the point of inventing and adding stuff. But that's where we're at. Let's get these last bits in here. And then I'm going to paint the render on this building. And I'm not sure what to do it yet. So I kind of do it as a lightish colour. I'm not sure what. I don't want to do stone grey, because I'm going to use that on the base anyway, on the stones, surprisingly enough. I don't want to do sky grey, because I did that on the last building and that was too light, and then when I painted the windowsills white, they kind of merge into one another. Don't want to do red, too bright. I don't know if dark sand is a nice one, nice yellow. Right, see you later. Want to be painter? Yeah, Weird War. No interest in it, Thomas. Zero interest. Like the Weird War 2 stuff that there is. No interest. World War 2 zombies are fine for role playing. A war game is different, in your opinion. You thought it'd be right up my street. What gave you that impression, Andrew? Well, I can see that. I already know that they're just going to have squads of 10 men, and that's going to be it. 10 rifles and 1 LMG, because they'll be basing everything off Second World War platoon structures. I could tell you that. I like those Wargames Atlantic figures. Yeah, do a little research at least. But yeah, so I've got no interest. But we could, if you wanted to, Andrew, in September, we could play Sturmabteilung 4, the First World War version of I Ain't Been Shot, Mum. That's a good version of it. I've got one game on the channel. Somebody did it in one of the Too Fat Lardies specials. I think it's also in the Play the Game one as well, this special here that I've got. Yes, that's that yellowish colour looks quite nice, I think. That's a nice render. Nice attractive boulangerie. And then I might paint the windowsills and stuff maybe in green or something, just to give it a little splash of colour. What time are we on? As I say, at the moment, just block painting now, so I'm just going to slop it on. Big old brush. And for one thing, this helps with the weathering later anyway, because it looks uneven and it looks like it's been painted by hand. And it also, you can see some of the brown underneath it a little bit. You're off as well. Evening, Steve. Thank you for watching. Weird War and Zombies, etc. Might as well have Doctor Who stepped from the blue box. Absolutely. Absolutely. But if that's what people like to play, let them play it. If it works. Like I say, Andrew, and with all the doom and gloom around Ukraine, I'm finding a bit of fantasy, a sci-fi game, a bit of escapism. I don't think I've faced T-34 72 at the moment. Well, T-34 is slightly different, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, Ukraine has kind of put me off the Cold War anyway, which I wasn't particularly enamoured by anyway. But yeah, the First World War's all right. It's 100 years ago. It's history, Andrew. This is quite a nice colour, this. I like it. Nice and bright. A friend of mine always complains about people who paint buildings grey, in Codex grey. And you do see it a lot. People not putting much thought into their buildings, and he impressed on me for years about painting buildings. The Weird War comics were good fun back in the day. As someone who really into real history, what fictional what ifs? What about fictional? Well, every scenario that you play is a fictional what if, Dave. Unless you do exactly the same as what they did at the time of the battle. So every single one is arguably fantasy. But to counter that, or are you asking more about things like Operation Sea Lion, Cold War Gone Hot, that kind of stuff? Because I'm not that fussed about Operation Sea Lion either, to be honest. I know it's quite popular in various sectors, but it's just something that doesn't particularly interest me that much. I'm not that bothered. The colours really covering well. Yeah, they're good. Vallejo paints. That's why I go back to them. Paint 28mm Australian Independent Commando Squad Jungle Infantry for the Kokoda Trail. Good stuff. After doing one barbed wire strip with 16 hand drill holes for 6, the other 9 strips just want a date with a drill press at work tomorrow. Well, most buildings are shades of grey, especially when the stone is primary choice of material. Not when they're painted, Thomas. On my street, they're all painted. They're rendered and painted. So there's all kinds of colours on my street. And then the ones that aren't are red brick. So I don't think there's a single house on my street that is grey. You have to take your inspiration from around you. In fact, most buildings, including industrial buildings, are painted in some colour or another. Sometimes it's just whitewash. In the case of these, there we go. Well, that's pretty much done that. I think I'll come back to that at some point later. Just give it another good going over. I could start on a second coat now. So, I'm not too fussed about getting a perfectly even coverage on it, because I want it to kind of blend in as part of the weathering later anyway. So it's gonna it'll shine through a bit as a what's the word? Just to give it a bit of tonal variation as much as anything else. Let's just do this one side again. You mean like Napoleon's invasion of England? Isn't that really Operation Sea Lion? 100 years earlier, 150 years earlier. And anyway, the French landed at Fishguard, so it's something that did happen. Carl's off, got to head off. Dad taxi duties. Alright. Cheers, Carl. Thanks for popping in. Good to have you on board. And I hope you liked the video before you left. There we go. That looks grand. So it doesn't look like it's been painted by me, but it looks like it's been painted by hand. And that's the kind of thing I'm going for. So I'll get those two partly done. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do the roofs of these two, and I think I might leave those for that. Let them dry, because there's a few more bits I want to do on those. Is the stone grey and stuff for the courtyards and things, and the interiors. And they're not going to take a huge amount of time, but let's paint the roofs and get them done. And then for this, I'm using German grey. This is Vallejo's German grey, which is great for the roofs. And then what I do is basically give them a dry brush of neutral grey by Vallejo, and then do some weathering. And that's it. That would all depend on a local stone. I know up to the coast from my folks, it used to be a local chalk. The buildings are white. Yeah, exactly. In Normandy, they're yellow because the stone is yellow. So the tiles, the roof tiles, are grey because they're slate. Slate is grey. So yeah, it's entirely dependent on the stone colour itself. Not all stone is grey. There we go. So the roofs are dead easy to paint, and I also like putting bird crap on them as well. It's also a fun part of the painting process. Because again, if you look at drive around a lot of rural areas, and I look at roofs all the time, and a lot of the rural areas have got some of the older buildings in them, so you can see where on the tile roofs where the birds crap and how it looks. And then I try to add it onto these buildings just to give them a little bit of realism, along with rain streaks and stuff like that as well. And if you look, there's always bird crap on them, unless somebody's cleaning the roof off. Most people don't bother. Used to live in Spain, in the town of Villarreal. Had brightly painted buildings. Yeah, Spain, and places like Italy, they have very brightly painted buildings. Very Mediterranean thing, isn't it? It's a nice thing that sets them apart. There you go, that's one. Kokoda is a Papua track. Your bird crap recipe. Excellent. He's inspirational. Evening, Paul. I'm doing Perry's British Infantry for Sudan. Excellent. A good mix of what people are painting out there tonight. Always good to see and hear. Yeah, I'm just going to get these done. What time are we on? 20 past. You don't get the impression that rural buildings, especially in Europe and Russia, had painted stone or brick. Yes, they do, because they generally render them to protect them from the elements, and then they paint the render. Just do a Google search for, French cottage, and you'll see what I mean. Because people like their houses to look nice. And an easy way of doing that is to whitewash it or to paint it. And as I say on this one, because you can't see the brickwork, it's render. So that render is being painted. Undead heavy cavalry for Midgard and fantastic battles. Have you played Midgard, Andy? Because I've only seen it played at the shows. I know James has. Speaking of which, actually, I forgot to ask you. Yeah, what have you put down for the Ebor Lord? What games have you put down? I've asked for Al Seward's Crossroads game, the Arnhem Crossroads game. I know it's an all-dayer. I'll happily play that all day. But what have you gone for? And I just said, if I don't get that one, I'm happy to go with anything. Don't mind. Put me on whatever. There's a good selection of games going on. So I had no other preference. I'll probably end up playing Kiss Me Hardy with Charlie again. For the third time. Don't Google French cottage. Free public service amendments. Voice of experience. Spain, Italy definitely have some bright colour stucco. Yeah, it does all the way throughout Europe. Now I must go French cottage in lol. The mind has gone. Actually, I'm gonna paint the stone grey on these. That's going to be the next thing, and then I think I will leave them. Got a game at OML, very good. Jeremy's Dux Brit and Sharp Practice, excellent. They're the ones you put down for Sharp Practice. Sharp Practice is the one from John. The Battle of Dorking, is it? He's doing. Oh, the other one I can't remember. Can't remember what was on the list. But yeah, Jeremy's Duxel game will be good. No, I did have. Dutch has a lot of brick with brightly coloured trim. Indeed, there you go. Bright trim, painted. There we are. There's stone grey. The Yanks only do it to cover up the scorch marks rather than to use acceptance visits in 1812. Right. I'm going to need to do a little bit of repair work on this because I've got a gap in the stonework because the embossed cardboard plastic card that I got just wasn't big enough for the base. So I'm going to have to come and probably just do a little bit of greenery on this edge here just to cover it up. I'll see how I go. I'll be alright, but I think it's going to be too obvious. I'm going to do a little patch of weeds or something just on the outside of the building. Well, as I say, these are currently the just block colours. That's all we're doing. Google search of French cottages led some interesting results, I can imagine. Did not know your street was in France, Alex. No, it's not in France, is it? Don't know what that means. Simon says you were at Oozing Lard over the weekend and played the Battle of Dorking SP game. I can recommend it. It's very good fun. Excellent. Yeah, I think can't remember if John is putting that one on at Ebor Lard. Hopefully, if I don't get my first choice, then hopefully I'll get something like that, something interesting. But whatever it will be, they will all be interesting. All good fun. I don't know when Steel Lard is this year. I'm assuming it's probably going to be around November time. I might put my hand in and do a game for that. I'm not going to be going to Lard Workshop, unfortunately. It's too close to me working away for 2 weeks, or 2 weeks before it. So I'm just not going to get a chance to do it. I'll have a gander, Leslie, about the conflict. I like some of the lesser known World War II histories. The Kokoda Trail is quite a well-known one, especially by the Australians. If you want real obscurity from the Second World War, look at Malaya. Most people can't remember it happened. Let's have around 25 past 8. I'm going to do these bases, and then that's going to be it, I think. Because the rest of it then is just going to be tidying up and detailing, I think. So there's not much point me starting on that. We'll leave it to that. A good hour. An hour is good enough for me. A nice flagstone floor in the bottom of this boulangerie as well. So I just did it from embossed cardboard, embossed plastic card. There we go. Easily done. This stuff's really nice because it takes a nice Agrax wash. Once it's painted in stone grey, just wash it in Agrax and then give it another dry brush in stone grey again. And it looks grand. Looks grand. Woody has some very good ones on World War II on YouTube. Any future projects from research or just possible therapy? Alright. There we go. Let's finish those off, and then I need to paint this one's garden, but I can't be bothered to do that tonight, to be honest. We'll leave it at that, I think. Let's say that's basic block colours on those. Finishing before Love I like a true pro, absolutely, 100%. Your father flew Dakotas out east for the RAF. Never really talked about it. I got the impression he had a hard time. I can well imagine. Alright folks, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching. And thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next Storm of Steel video and or paint and chat session. I don't know when that'll be, but hopefully it will be soon, and I'll talk to you all later.